John Adams' Letters from the Front podcast for March 1917. This podcast looks at life in World War I through the letters of John Adams, who was 23 when he joined up in September 1914. He served with the 9th Service Battalion, Royal Irish Fusiliers, and was involved in many significant events on the Western Front, particularly Passchendaele. These are his words, read by his grandchildren and narrated by his great-grandchildren. This month we will be looking at some of the feedback we received about one of our episodes where we talked about how people at home reacted to the news about the first day of the Somme. We also have 2 notes from John Adams to his mother, his last before he returns to the front. He is still in Ireland and has been doing Orderly Sergeant, which is the first sergeant of the company with duties including conveyance of orders and often acted as officer of the day. Next month there are no letters from John, but we will be devoting the episode to catching up with the 9th Service Battalion, whom John will be returning to. Last September we received some welcome feedback from Ken Switzer, hopefully I got your name right there Ken, giving us further background to the history section we presented in August 1916. Ken wrote,
Dear descendants of John Adams, I'm finding your blogs fascinating listening. My late father was in the Royal Field Artillery from September 1914 to June 1921. He never spoke in detail about his experiences. Any comments would have been amusing incidents away from the Western Front. In your latest blog, I hope you don't mind when I point out a commonly held misconception on the reason for the absence of a 12th of July parade in 1916. Your local library should have a book, Unionists and the Great War Commemoration in the North of Ireland, written by my daughter. Pages 30 to 33 explain the true reasons why the parades were cancelled. Looking forward to the next blog. Best regards, Ken.
Thank you Ken, and we are glad that you're enjoying the episodes, and we don't mind anyone pointing out things that we may have gotten wrong or missed. And, as an amateur historian, I did go off to the library to check out the book Unionists and the Great War Commemoration in the North of Ireland by Catherine Switzer. It is a great read and filled in some of the detail I missed in researching that episode. When I researched the episode, I not only look up Blackers Boys by our friend Nick Metcalf, but I try to find references on the topic in other books. When I researched how people back in Ireland felt about the Somme, and particularly the reasons around the annual 12th of July parades being cancelled that year, I did find snippets from Blackers Boys about the parades, which read,
The Orange Order cancelled its celebrations on 12th of July for the first time since its founding,
and added it to the quote from Armagh and the Great War by Colin Cousins.
Given the losses sustained by the Ulster Division on the Somme, the annual 12th of July Orange demonstrations were cancelled as a mark of respect to those who'd been killed during the battle.
And with those 2 quotes, I came to the conclusion that Cousins was correct and that Nick's quote had supported it. But we learned from Switzer's book that it was not that simple. There were other forces to consider. Firstly, this was the second 12th of July parade after the war had started, and we need to know what happened the year before to understand how 1917 would work.
There existed a clear precedent from the previous year for celebrations being held on a reduced scale.
So celebrations had been subdued in 1915, but the situation in Ireland had also changed in the preceding year. With the Easter Rising came fear of more trouble from groups of people gathering en masse, so the government had put laws in place.
The Defence of the Realm Act and the imposition of martial law throughout Ireland since the Easter Rising both functioned to curtail liberty of association, movement, publication and utterance.
And finally, the war was ongoing. The people at home played a vital role in supplying the men of the front with the supplies they needed, and all people of Britain were asked to hold off annual celebrations of whatever type to help keep up the demand.
The situation in regard to the 12th was complicated by a request from the Minister for Munitions that the traditional holidays following the 12th of July be postponed until August in order to maintain the production of shells and other munitions for the front.
So the 12th celebrations were cancelled in 1916, but not primarily due to the Somme, but the other factors that we've mentioned. Learning from history needs us all to look and look and look again. There are always other sources to learn from, and I am grateful to Ken for drawing our attention to his daughter's book. Encourage anybody who's interested the First World War in Northern Ireland to look up Unionists and the Great War Commemoration of the North of Ireland, written by Catherine Switzer. If anyone else would like to contact us with further resources or stories of your own or corrections for us, we would love to hear from you. The contact details are in our end tag.
March 1917, D Company, 10th Royal Irish Fusiliers, Newtownards, County Down.
Just a few lines hoping they will find you still in good health. I'm sorry I was so long in answering your parcel, which I received alright. Many thanks for the same. The weather keeps very wet. I do wish it would clear up, as it is not very pleasant. Well, I hope they had a good night on Friday night in Kings Mills. Was there many there? Well, dear mother, if you do not get any more word from me this week, you need not be uneasy, as I will not have the time to write. I am doing orderly sergeant this week, so I will not have a minute to spare. I am only telling you, as you might wonder what is wrong. I have got to go now, so I will have to draw to a close, hoping to hear from you soon again. I remain your loving son, J. Adams.
16th March 1917, Newtownards. The postcard shows Cave Hill and Belfast Castle.
Dear Mother, just a card hoping it will find all at home in good health. If all is well, I may be home on Saturday, but I do not know yet. No more at present. Hoping to see yous all soon. John Adams.
Thank you for listening to John Adams' Letters from the Front podcast. To find out more about John Adams and his family, visit www.johnadams.org.uk/letters. The history of the 9th Service Battalion, Royal Irish Fusiliers, during World War I is taken from the Blackers Boys. Visit them at www.9irishfusiliers.co.uk with the number 9. Podcast will be published 100 years after the letters were written, so will be published nearly every month. This has been a Mark Smith production.